Hey family, how you guys doing? Welcome to Phie.Love Intuitive Conversations. I hope you guys are good, right? If you like my content, please do like, share, and subscribe. And if there's any negativity, if there's any hate, please do keep that on your side of the street, okay? It won't be acknowledged. So, family, in this video, I'm being guided by Spirit today to talk about a little bit of a relationship commitment aspect, right? Now, one of the things throughout our lifetimes that can carry with us, that we can end up carrying the whole way through, are the injuries we get from certain romantic relationships or connections that we find ourselves getting into throughout our lifetime, right? And a lot of the time, from the perspective of the divine, right? The injuries that we end up in, right? The after effect or effects of those injuries that we find ourselves taking on by way of these certain romantic relationships and commitments that we get into, right? That are completely based on the programming, the dynamic of them, the reasoning, the expectations, all of those things that are programmed into us that position us to become injured, right? When the external party that we've chosen to attach ourselves to behaves in a way that doesn't meet the rules, the programmed rules to the dynamic, right? Doesn't live up to the expectations around the lack that's been programmed into you, that the programming has designed the dynamic to supposedly fulfill, regardless of whether it's going to fulfill it or not, whether the other person is capable of fulfilling it by sacrificing themselves to whatever extent that they can, and how open and receiving you are as well to what it is that they provide in an attempt to meet the dynamic expectation, right, between two committed parties or a romantic relationship, right? Now, Spirit says these relationships, because of the programming around the dynamic and how we have been made through television, or the novels you read, or how people recreate and act these things out within our society, the expectations that are there, and all the other things layered around within the system that we exist in to reinforce that programming around the dynamic of these relationships, the expectations, and how you're taught this. If your partner does, if the person you commit to or join with or marry or whoever it is, if they do this, you're programmed to get hurt. If they do this, you're programmed to feel, or you're programmed to react and respond emotionally this way or that way, right? You're programmed to go into depression if the dynamic falls apart. You're programmed to go into a place of being injured. You're programmed to go into some form or shape of a victim, right? And make the other person the villain or the aggressor, or vice versa. I'm sure in your own life you can, point out, look at, and recognize how these things play out, and again, take a step back to go within yourself and take a moment to recognize how all the programming has affected you, and how you have those things play out, how you expect and enforce on yourself and others to play those things out that are consistently, you know, that in your environment are consistently reiterated that, this is how it's done, this is how it is, this is how you should feel. It's in the music, it's everywhere. Okay. So people get stuck in the my man mentality. They get stuck in the emotions and the illusions and ideas of happiness and building a family should look and feel like this, and someone being romantic should look and feel like this. And there's a whole lot of things out there, right, that they've layered and seeded into the population on how to build and expect and whatever it is out of these engagements between man and woman, or woman and woman, and man, wherever you fall in your life story, right? Anyway, so Spirit says these relationships tend to, we get injured by them, and they tend to be the thing that hangs within our energetic memory. Things that we hang on to, emotions we hang on to, because of our programming, right? That unnecessarily, these things tend to always hang in the background throughout our lifetime. They end up being things as well that we end up having to, energetic imbalances and all kinds of things that we end up having to carry on over within our soul and energetic memory into the next lifetime. And again, we end up drawing those kinds of situations and dynamics. We create unnecessary spiritual bonds and ties with people simply because of the programming and the mindset that we're in, right? We develop these things, we carry them on to the next lifetime. And from the perspective of the divine, it's completely unnecessary, right? Yes, it is natural for people to want to come together. It is natural for people to want to, I'm not even going to say married, because marriage is again one of those things that have been programmed into society at some point and normalized through religion and events and advertising, and it goes on and on. It's another layered issue, right? But coming together, I'll say coming together is something natural for us to want to do, right? Building a family is something natural for us to want to do. Okay, not everybody may want to do that, but it's procreation, right? Coming together and wanting to build a dynamic. It brings a level of fulfillment, and it's also within our dynamic design to also trigger and bring us into certain states of growth and bring us into certain experiences that develop and elevate us and challenge our souls and how to say, and also assist in expanding our consciousness, right? The experiences that coming together and building family dynamics and coming together with one another, all these things contribute to our own expansion in some way through the lessons we learn. If we get to the point of actually using the experiences to learn the lesson, right? And not become the victim to them and end up, staying in this unconscious space of cycles and cycles and cycles of, because of the pain, because of the energetic memory, because of what we've got stuck in our system from experiences we've experienced in the past. We end up always drawing the same experiences in an effort by the divine and by the universe to awaken us to the deeper issue that can help us not go back into those cycles again, right? You change your perspective, you change the way, by way of awareness, higher awareness and understanding, you change the way that you interpret and perceive these relationships and with the intentions and expectations that you have when you go into them, and maybe try and reframe and find somebody who can in the world out there, you speak to the divine to align you with the right person who can match with you on the same level, on the same understanding, on the same vibration, around a different perspective and understanding of how you choose to engage these relationships that aligns with your inner being, right? Not aligning to what has been programmed in different ways, shapes, and forms on the outside of you. Okay, this has been a bit long-winded. So, what the divine would like is for us to take a step back and really investigate what we think, what we believe, and what we expect, what we allow through our programming to bring us pain, to put us into lack, to make us feel like we are in need, that can put us into a place of wanting to impose, beliefs and dynamics and expectations and things on other people. Step back as well and investigate, what about my belief systems also has an impact on my emotions and the way I attach, the way I understand, the way I believe, what and who I gravitate towards. All of these things, right? Moving through our lifetimes with the injury in the background of wherever these programmings and expectations have affected us at some point in our lives. From the perspective of the divine, it isn't necessary. Before you go into these situations, take time to evaluate where you are, who you are, and what it is you're actually looking for out of a situation for somebody to bring into your life. What do you want to share with somebody? If it goes beyond being something just platonic, right? The biggest issues sometimes that people overlook when they're wrapped up in the programming and the emotions and the ideas of the glorified ideas that have been programmed into people around getting married and building families and having children and the house and all of those things, right? Wanting to rush to get to that place that you've been programmed to believe you're in need of, that you're lacking, and will also have you fit somehow in a different space in society that you've been programmed to believe people aspire to get to. It kind of has you overlooking when it's time to, when you're in the, if you're in the experience and not trying to perform and build something you've been programmed to perform and try and build. You pay more attention to the things that actually matter in order to sustain what might look like an external success, right? What do they say? External success without internal stability collapses. What do you do in the beginning of your relationships with people? Consciously. How conscious are you? If you think back to the past relationships that you've been in, the past commitments and attachments that you've been in, how conscious were you in the beginning about the actual stability that you need to develop within or have within yourself, that your partner also needs to have within themselves, and that the relationship that's come together also needs to possess internally in order for the external success of it to persevere. Spirit would like you, most of all, before you get into these situations, if you're getting to a point of wanting to commit, you're getting to a point of wanting to become married, Make sure that your partner has space for you. Make sure that the throne, the chair next to their throne, the queen or the king's chair is open for you. Stop always falling for what people sell you, and then you're in the thick of things and you don't get what you thought you were buying. Because the injury of all of these things carries with you, it has a bigger and longer term impact on you and your life and where you are going later, right? It matters. It has a bigger impact than thinking about just right now. Heartbreak, betrayals, all these things cause spiritual ties. A man might have sold you that he's going to give you the queen chair next to him, but you didn't have your eyes open, only to find that his mother was occupying the chair, and he wasn't ready yet to tell his mother that the chair needs to be occupied by somebody else. So your my man mentality has you settling for him putting you on the floor next to him. How many people are in that situation? You commit before you actually ground into the reality of the situation. You end up with these men who are not ready, these men who haven't developed within themselves yet to stand their ground and say no to their mothers, who they've given a queen chair next to them, putting the illusion out to you that they have space for you, that the chair is open for you. But no, it's actually occupied with their mother. The man does not have space for you in his life. And if you divorce from the my man mentality, you'll be okay with a peaceful heart, a protected soul, a protected mind, to walk away and not have to put yourself through years or months or however long it is that you might have to endure through something, trying to fight for a spot that, trying to fight for an illusion that you were sold. Some of those things are difficult to take accountability for. Make sure your partner has space for you. Make sure the king or the queen chair beside your partner is open, not filled with a family member, not filled with their mother, not filled with their problems, not filled with their friends, not filled with their past. Because you're going to end up having to settle for the chair, for the floor next to him, next to her. Because they don't have the balls, they haven't developed, they're not ready. They're not ready to tell their mother or their parent or their friend or their fling or whatever it is that they're still attached to, that they have managing and controlling their perspective and their mind and their energy, that they need to join the crowd now and the chair needs to be opened for you because it's what you deserve, right? These things, when people don't, when people don't put care towards the worth that you believe someone should give you, those are things that cause injury. When people disregard you in whatever way, shape, or form, generally that's the issue. You're disregarded in some way. Someone didn't think to care about you, to consider you. But you're trying to live out illusions, trying to perform illusions for one another and for the world. Make sure you're paying attention to who your partner is attached to. Who is your partner taking advice from? Who is in their energy? Do you have your partner, or are you committing to, are you marrying somebody who's being managed on the outside by other people, who prioritizes the perspective and the words of other people? Because I'm telling you, if you join with somebody in the beginning, it's always there. The divine will always make it clear to you. And if you're waiting, if you're going into a commitment and a partnership with someone with the intention and the hope that it's something led by the divine, understand that if it's by the divine, the chair next to your partner will be available and open for you. They will be in their own authority. They will not have a mother, a father, a friend, a girlfriend, an ex-girlfriend, whoever it is on the outside influencing them, their perspective, their minds, and their energy. Because whoever it is influencing them in the beginning will be the same people influencing them during your relationship and at the end. You'll be committing to a third-party situation. But you're my man, I want to get married, your fears of being alone, all of these things will have you settling for second or third place in a situation and a dynamic that requires you to be in the position which is first place, right? You can really avoid a lot of heartache, avoid a lot of imbalance, avoid unnecessary soul ties with people by simply just, slowing down in the beginning, grounding yourself, getting familiar with where it is and what it is that you're operating out of. Where are you in your life? Where is the person in their life who you want to commit to? Is what the person is selling you really what the situation is going to be? Before you commit, pay attention to who they're taking their advice from. Pay attention to who they have attached to them. Pay attention to who they're loyal to. Pay attention to who's influencing their mind and their decisions. Who do they go and get their advice from? Because those are the very same people that you're going to inherit when you commit to somebody. You won't have their mind. The divine will bring you somebody when you are ready and when they are ready, so that you can both have each other. Not you are here, the one who's open, who's available, who's giving, who's committed, who's loyal, who's sharing, who has a mind of their own, who's not being influenced by A, B, and C on the outside, who's able to assert, right? Protect your partner in places where you need to, where they need to be protected, with your friends, with your family. But you end up joining with people who are not ready for that. They're in the illusion. They're not in reality. They're not aware of their own true state. They don't want to face the fact that they can't stand up to their mother, that they don't have boundaries, that they can't manage money well, that they've got issues, that they're still getting over their past partners, that there's still people who want to impress their friends, that there are people who are, that there's still somebody who's going to put the opinion and the ideas of their friends and their family above what you have going on in your space and your relationship. Somebody who's not mature enough to value the privacy and the need for the energy between you and the person and your union to remain pure, so that You can be clear when you're dealing with your person and their energy, and they can be clear when they're dealing with you and your energy. Not having things distorted with the external energy always being a part and interfering with everything. Right? So recognize when the people you're joining with might not be exactly in the right position, place in life already, mentally, internally, emotionally, for what it is you might want to build with them, what your intention is behind the decision to commit or to get married. All of this stuff takes time. External family, their mother, their father, baby mamas, whatever it is, they don't, baby daddies, when you come together with someone, they cannot be the number one priority. You come first. And these are things that you can actually pay attention, even and you know, get information you can gather in the beginning before you move into these spaces where you're committed, where you're bound financially, where you've signed contracts, where you've committed your mind, your soul, your emotions, your body, your living space. Take your time and be willing to walk away if it doesn't align with what the future might, with what you hope to have as a balanced future with someone. If they're emotionally erratic, if there are people who send you Bibles and Bibles and Bibles and paragraphs of messaging and conflict, understand that they're not ready. It's not the time. It's a toxic relationship. There's turmoil existing within the inner worlds of either party. These are all things that the divine will show you in the beginning. But your programming and your fears of being alone, your needs to attach always and to get so focused on trying to live out the illusion, the expectations, this is so-called societal milestones, override everything that should be taking the priority, right? So get grounded and don't put yourself into a place where you will have to be carrying throughout your lifetime issues, pain, hurt, things influencing your decisions and your vision. In the future, the divine's trying to bring something into you, but you're stuck on things that you've been through in the past that you could have avoided by just slowing down, taking a higher perspective, looking at yourself and recognizing where you're acting out of programming, recognizing where you're acting out of lack and need, recognizing where you're afraid to say no and walk away and choose according to you knowing something isn't for me. This doesn't work out for me. This is violating my boundaries. The people in this man or woman's life don't respect me, my relationship with him or her, my boundaries. They have no regard. This person, their energy is split, their mind is split. They're still too loyal and committed to the things on the outside. It goes way beyond appearances, okay? Someone may look good, someone may talk good, but you need to slow down and take the time to observe someone's being, someone's actions, someone's environment. Okay. The divine really, where you can not have to go through things unnecessarily and carry things throughout your lifetime and into the next lifetime. Don't do it. That's part of having self-love for yourself. right? Thinking beyond the right now, thinking beyond the emotion, thinking beyond what other people beyond what you think other people want and expect out of you, and status, and whatever it might be. Okay, you're not running out of time. Take your time. So I'm going to pull a card today from the Miracle Cards, okay, by Marianne Williamson, and see what Spirit has to support our conversation, or give somebody who's watching our video a nudge in a specific direction. Okay, let's see. Spirit Matt, please have one card to support our conversation, or give somebody who's watching our video a nudge in a specific direction. There you go. Dropping judgments. Okay, so what I'm getting is, don't be harsh on yourself, and don't be harsh as well when you're dealing with other people. Everybody's gonna be where they are. When you slow down and you get to the point where you're actually paying attention, you're actually trying to figure out if something is for you or isn't for you. Do it with a balanced heart and a balanced mind. Don't be nasty. And if you're in situations, and this video might have triggered something, or awakened you to maybe things that you were missing in the past and didn't pay attention to, and maybe you recognize right now, oh my gosh, well maybe I see the issue now. It's my own oversight. Don't become harsh and judgmental on other people. Everybody needs to work through what they need to work through. It's okay for you to recognize if something is for you or if it isn't for you, and to peacefully and calmly, with love, make the decision to move away from it and go back onto your path, and allow the divine to bring into your life what needs to come into your life at the right time, once you've also gone through what you need to go through, so you can be prepared and ready for what you want in the future. Okay, the card says, support for the belief in guilt is extremely easy to find, but real support is when we help someone see beyond guilt, to drop our judgments and see the love that lies deep within the heart of everyone. Okay, so even the mothers who get extremely attached, and the sons who don't realize how dependent on their mother's energy and influenced and controlled by their mother's influence and energy that they are, and restricted and in fear, and not even realizing how they prioritize their mothers over their wives, or over the people they want to bring into their lives and make their spouses, and not really realize how it actually, the position it puts their spouse or their person into. Understand that everybody has their story, and everybody also needs to overcome certain perspectives and energies within themselves to move into a place of balance that is allowing of others to operate and move the way they want to move. That control and that insistence to, that thing to insist, influencing and managing and controlling other people's lives, is all from a place of fear. It all comes from fear. Fear of abandonment. Fear of being left behind. So for others, it's fear of resources, whatever it might be. Okay, well, you'll know it in your own life, in your own situation, but you can't change somebody until they're ready to change and make the change. You can't put someone under guilt and under stress and try and manipulate them with guilt and stress and all that to change something that they actually need to go within and change. You're not going to change a woman who is plagued with anger and hurt and lashing out all the time by fighting with her back and forth to change. She has to be left alone to change on her own. You're not going to change that man who's attached to his mother and who is controlled by his mother and who will not put his mother into the crowd and open up the seat of the queen's chair for you. You won't make him do that. That's something he's going to have to do on his own, in his own time, by way of his own awareness expanding and making the decisions with acceptance and understanding and his own authority. Those men also need to build the respect from their mother by standing in their own authority, by learning to stick to it when he says no, when he draws a line, when he chooses what he wants for himself. Right. In my last video, this mother's story came up as well, so I don't know. It seems to be a theme at the moment. I don't know, it's birds cooking. Anyway, family, I'm gonna leave it there. I hope it's resonated. I hope it's helped. I hope it's triggered a few extra thoughts. I hope it's given some perspective. I hope it's helped you go within a little bit. You know, for each person it'll be something different. It will land different with each person. So yeah, okay, I'll see you in the next video, family.